This is a podcast from Torvine Voluntary Alliance. Hello, I'm Patrick Downs. Welcome to Word from the Third, where we'll be taking a look at all the big stories and news from the third sector here in Torvine.
So today on Words from the Third, I'm joined by Matthew Bartlett. But Matthew, tell us a little bit more about your background and what you do.
Right, okay, well I'm a Pontypool boy, I'm from Trevethin, and I've been minister of Sharon Church in Pontypool down on Osborne Road for a few decades now, and I suppose growing up locally I've got experience in the community already, but after COVID we wanted to launch a response at a community level to some of the problems that our neighbours were telling us about. And so through consultation with the community that we were in touch with, we decided, I've actually seen some other churches do good stuff during COVID, and we definitely weren't ready for it. So I thought it's time to repurpose the church and the direction it's going to be much more community focused, much more open and welcoming to non-religious part of community work as well as the religious side. And that's what we did. We had to actually change our trust deeds in order to make that possible, but we've begun it. I mean, my background personally has been in business and in academia for a number of years. I graduated from Cardiff University in 1995 with my BSc in physics. I later moved over to theology and took my master's some years ago, and I'm just handing in now my PhD in New Testament Greek. So I'm an academic. I've taught in several universities, but I've always lived in Pontypool, and you can't get away from the fact that this is your home, and are you going to make it a nicer place to live in or not? So I feel quite motivated when you meet so many people who still want to make the town a better place. You look for ways that you can support them and help them.
So tell me a little bit more about what the church does.
Well, once the church opened its doors again after COVID, it decided it wanted to become a community hub. So it sort of set up a centre for the community, which was lacking in that part of Pontypool town centre, really. Not very many public buildings there. And we began by opening a community cafe as a meeting space, not just to support people who might be experiencing food poverty and might need some cooked food for free, but also just to bring people together after COVID. I'm still meeting now, and how many years is it since lockdown ended? Still meeting people who've not been out,
Wow.
not met with others for the whole time, been bereaved, been alone, been scared, and just a meeting place. That was the real crux of it, to bring people together over a cup of tea. At the same time, we partnered with Fair Share Cymru, and we were giving out food parcels at the start for people who were facing food poverty. What I like about Fair Share's model, Patrick, there's no voucher, you don't have to demonstrate need. It's all about stopping waste and landfill and reducing our carbon footprint. So the food that is donated to us, whoever wants it can come and take it. And that's better than it being wasted, isn't it? And we began to build on that platform. So from the platform of the community cafe, we started to, by meeting and talking with people, what else was needed. And we just added extra days to the cafe, so that through the winter we were running 5 days a week. We've gone back now in the summer to 2, because it's not so cold outside and people don't need to come in. We started with help from TVA. We obtained a grant and we were able to top people up for their gas and electric through the winter. That was extremely popular and very needed. Crisis grants of £30 just on the prepayment meter brought families through. We helped over 100 families in the winter with that. We with other partnerships, such as Bronavon, Melin, Western Power, we've been given small grants, so we've been able to use that to put family meal packs together, kind of like HelloFresh, but free, and giving them out at half terms, Easter, summer holidays, and just putting on activity afternoons. We've had teachers in doing watercolours, we've had crafts, just any place where the community can come together and do what interests them. And of course, by having the open space, it's really useful. I know TVA have made use of it when we had our Ukrainian Refugee Day, Gwent Police come every month, Roehampton come regularly, and Communities for Work and lots of other partners. While we're open for the cafe, they just as well come. The heat is on in the winter, it's all paid for, there's no cost to them, and they can meet with clients. And while the clients are there, we've got a lot of information on hand of we've got a lot of great third sector organisations, as you know, in Torfaen. We can pass them on to others to get additional help. We can pass them over to Citizens Advice or to Torfaen County Borough Council. And we've had a lot of people very grateful that they came into the cafe. Not just for the friendliness they found there, but for the way they were signposted to help that they really needed. And I've started sort of compiling anonymous success stories for our grant funders, about the difference, the impact it's making. I mean, when you think that it's a church it had gone down to about 10 members after COVID. Sadly, we were bereaved of half the congregation during the COVID crisis, and we were considering, should we close or should we stay open? And in the last year, we estimated we've had about 2,000 people through the doors. Obviously, probably some of those have been counted more than once. But, I've got names and addresses of people that have had, fuel vouchers or food parcels, whatever, and there are hundreds of families, families of four sometimes, that have been helped. So it was really worthwhile. You've taken a building that wasn't really in much use except for worship on a Sunday and maybe a midweek meeting, and it's now used almost every day for most of the day, and it's become the issue of a building being sustainable into the future. You've now got a community asset, which is hopefully, we've got some building work to be done, but hopefully it will be a long-term sustainable community asset, still available for the church community to use for worship, but also available constantly for the rest of the community, as well as those who have faith, to come and to make their own.
So you kind of really touched upon there about the difference you're making in the community. What about the other projects you're working on at the moment?
Right, well, we've got a few sort of frying in the pan, Patrick. We wondered, last year we ran a breakfast holiday club for the school children and their families. So we basically had a menu produced, and it was the same menu as the Harvester have got down in Pontypool. We were giving it away. The take-up was a bit lower than we had thought it might be, considering what we were offering, with so many families facing difficulty with there being no free school meals. And I know there are several means of support available, but we thought start the day with a nice hot cooked breakfast, or continental if you prefer. Take-up wasn't so great, and we've been chatting to partners at Roehampton about why that is, and we think maybe there's still some stigma attached to getting a handout for free. So one of the projects, or two projects that we're looking at currently, through the summer we're going to have a lot of community event days, fun days, like fates and family days. Anyone could come along, and there's plenty of activities for the children, but while they're there they can be served a meal, and they can also take a week's worth of meal recipes and ingredients away with them. So we're looking at ways of overcoming that stigma. We people say, I don't want to go for a handout. No, mate, we might not want a handout, but come and let the kids have some fun. And while you're here, everyone's welcome to take this. Come on, it's been paid for by the council, so come and have it. We're upgrading our food share programme. I've been working with a couple of other organisations lately that have a more community pantry model, where you can become a member for a couple of £, and a couple of times a month you can come and pay just a couple of quid, and you can have 20 or 30 items in your shopping basket, and you're paying maybe £4, and you've got 20 to 30 pounds worth of shopping in your basket. And we're looking at increasing our stock and holding more stock so that people could do that regularly. And again, it's a step away from the handout idea. A lot of people, they say to me, they're working, which is why we started opening some nights as well, and weekends, so people working could get there. So it's getting the message across that you don't have to be on benefits. Occasionally, you get a bill on the car, the mortgage has gone up, and you just might need some support just for this week till you get paid. And it's absolutely fine to come and access that. We want it to remove the stigma, so absolutely anyone could feel comfortable coming in and accessing what we've got. I mean, some of the other projects that we've got in mind coming up, of course, we've started recently a parent and toddler group, which is flying. That's going extremely well. We've got a lot of toys there, and the kids just come and play. They have a great time. And then if the parents want any more information, for older children, there are youth clubs in the building run by the community council, so non-religious youth club. We've also got some religious, church-led children's clubs. So there's a lot of offerings, a lot of stuff going on that kids can access depending on what they're looking for. And we're going to continue. We started a community cinema last year. We just had a couple of films, and we're fully licensed now, so that we can show films much more often. And I don't know if you're a Pontypool boy, Patrick, but I grew up going to the Scala cinema, which was on Osborne Road. It's not there anymore, but just up from the Scala is Sharon Church, and we will be showing a number of films through the rest of the year.
Oh, brilliant.
Mainly family focus, so that you can bring the kids, no horror movies or anything like that. But, we're looking at Super Mario Brothers when it's going to be released for community cinema soon, that kind of thing. And that's been very popular for families to bring the children to. And there's a film on, but we have activities at the same time, because some kids don't like to sit still, so they can watch the movie. We did the Polar Express. They were watching the movie and colouring in this giant train made of cardboard at the same time, having a fantastic time. So yeah, we've got a lot of things going on at the moment.
What would be the most enjoyable aspect of what you do?
Well, I think you get to meet people you wouldn't otherwise meet, and you meet a lot of people. I try to be on site as often as I can. I can't be there always. We have got wonderful staff and volunteers, but when I get there, I'm always trying to go around and meet new people. And we've had literally every kind of person, every demographic they put on the form. We've had everyone in chatting, and I love to see people sat down together. And if you looked at the paperwork and the demographic they're from, you wouldn't think they'd be sat together having a cup of coffee and a really good conversation. They're from very different walks of life. Some people with very different opinions, but everyone's getting on great. And it's that community building, community cohesion type of thing, I think, is what I like to see. I mean, for myself as a person of faith, in the past, it's been my experience that you can feel excluded because, hey, right, nobody wants your faith, nobody wants your God, and sometimes you're left out. When you've got a community project like this, everyone's together. People of faith and people of none. And it sort of brings you back to that connection. It's a human connection in the project that makes it work.
If I could grant a wish for you, what would it be?
Well, that's a big one, Patrick. I tell you what I would like, and it's a problem in Pontypool right now, isn't it? And that is the capital assets, buildings. Here in Pontypool, we're an old town, and road access isn't great. We're fortunate to be just up the road from the multi-storey car park. It's literally 100 steps, I've counted them. Yeah, so you can park in the multi-storey car park and walk up using the lift. But we certainly need better facilities. So if you could grant me a wish, wave your magic wand, we need to rebuild our current venue. Actually, we've started pre-planning and talking to architects about the possibility, and it is just a pipe dream at the moment, but we would like to, instead of having the old church building there, we'd like to demolish that, and we'd like to build a purpose-built community facility, which will still house the church in one part, but we'll have a permanent community cafe with a community pantry. And also we'd go up and have an upstairs, so that we'd actually have, for the first time in that part of Pontypool, we'd have a community hall which anyone could use, sports clubs, youth clubs, bingo night, whatever. It would be available because there's so little opportunity. Actually, because we're a town centre church, and there's a lot going on the estates around. There are lots of community buildings, community centres, but in the town centre itself, there's not. And I would add, because I don't know who's listening to this, that Torfaen Council have got a wonderful project going to create a community space over at what used to be St James's Church. I think I was there for the last service before it shut. But I've had a look at their plans for that, and so we're in a good position because what Torvine Council are planning for St James's is a completely different type of community building to the one we are thinking of, the other side of town. So I don't think we're going to clash, which is very helpful when it comes to bidding for grant money. We're not duplicating effort. So please wave your magic wand, Patrick, and help us get that done.
So how can people get involved?
We have a lot of volunteers coming through TVA and through Connect Torvine, which is the website where you can sign up to volunteer anywhere in Torvine, and most of our volunteers come from there. I should add that we now have more volunteers from the community than we do from the church, which is what we planned and what we wanted, so that there's real community ownership of the project. But people can email me or phone me, and I'm happy to give my details. Phone me on 07736 035 604. That number's public domain, 07736 035 604. And you can help out in some way. Let me know your availability. We're always taking on volunteers. We have a simple application form and a simple induction, health and safety, and then they can join us. Or by email. You can generally catch me at home. So this is my home email. It's my wife's name. Okay, Danielle, DANIELLE 7 at Tiscali, TISCALI.co.uk. I'm sure you can include that with the blurb on your podcast. But that's my home email. If you try and get me at work, I'm not going to see it for a couple of days, so I do make it public. That's my personal email. Get me at home. I'll get straight back to you.
Matthew, thanks for joining us today on Word from the Third.
Pleasure. Thank you, Patrick.
And don't forget, if you want to contact TVA, Torvine Voluntary Alliance, for anything regarding the third sector here in Torvine, get in touch regarding funding, volunteering, any kind of support or governance. info@tvawales.org.uk. You can also find us on social media, on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at TVA Wales, or of course on the website. It's all there at tvawales.org.uk. This podcast is produced by TVA, Torvine Voluntary Alliance.